In today's episode, you'll learn how to make delicious kosher top of the rib pumpkin chili using Prairie Street Prime's Kosher USDA Prime top of the rib and these fresh ingredients.
That is just falling apart. It's like literally melting in my mouth. Oh my gosh, it's so good. Welcome to the Prairie Street Prime Culinary Kitchen. I am your chef today, Chef Kendra. Prairie Street Prime is your luxury kosher meat experience. So today we're going to talk about this incredible cut of meat. It's not something that you see too often. This is the Prairie Street Prime USDA Prime top of the rib. But what does that mean and where does it come from? The rib of the animal is broken down into three sections. You have the top of the rib, this guy. You have the ribs, which is where you get your steaks from, your prime rib, all that good stuff. And then you have your flanken underneath. So what I want to point out with this is the incredible marbling in what is supposedly and normally a very lean cut. This is where Prairie Street Prime really stands out in the meat crowd, okay? You can see all of this fat working its way through the muscle. So here's the thing. If this is as fatty and luxurious as the top of the rib, which is the leaner section, can you even imagine how delicious and rich and marbled the rest of the ribs would be? The rib and then the flanken, incredible. Be sure to check them out at prairiestreetprime.com. They're fabulous. Okay, so what am I gonna do with this? Again, because this is a bit of a leaner cut, right? It's similar to a brisket. I don't want to smoke this because smoking it would probably dry it out a little bit too much. I'm going to show you a couple of different things that you can do with this. I'm going to show you how to make a kosher Philly cheesesteak using non-dairy vegan cheese. And then I'm also going to show you how to make this incredibly silky, smooth pumpkin chili that is just to die for. So now I'm going to take this beautiful, large top of the rib and I'm going to divide it into two. Cut right down. Okay. Now that my top of the rib is separated, I'll be using this cut to make my Instapot pumpkin chili. It's delicious. Typically a cut like this would take about 3.5, 4-ish hours in the oven at like a nice low, slow braise. But with the magic of the Instapot, it's gonna go like that, about an hour and 20 minutes or so. So let's talk about this meat. I want you to see, this is very important. I'm gonna cut it down, that way I can sear it in the Instapot, but I have to be careful of how I'm cutting it. If I were to cut along the muscle, it would make the meat too tough. So I wanna shorten those strands by cutting it against the grain of the meat. This is very important, whether you're cutting it raw or whether you're cutting it cooked. So again, find the grain, cut against it. All I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make these nice big chunks of meat. Fantastic. Now I'm gonna be cubing it. So I'm gonna just do one little cut like that. That's beautiful. Okay, one of the things I love about the Instapot is that it's kind of a one-stop shop, right? So I can saute and pressure cook and get everything done in one place. I love it. So I'm going to start the saute. Typically for a leaner cut, you might have to add some oil into the pan to help it sear, but this top of the rib actually has a really nice fat cap to it, so it's just enough fat that it's not going to stick and it's gonna give me that great sear. Very simple to start. I'm just gonna put on some nice kosher coarse salt and some freshly ground black pepper. Nice generous helping of salt. Nice generous helping of ground black pepper. I'm gonna give it a little toss. Let's get this stuff searing. Oh yeah. Nice and brown on all the sides. I'll show you, don't worry. You wanna be careful, even in the Instapot, that I'm not crowding my meat because I really want to make sure that it gets that nice caramelization. So as you can see, I'm really starting to develop this nice crust on top of it. This is the Maillard reaction, right? This is how our sear seals in those flavors. The other thing that you can start to see in here too is that we're getting these little brown bits in the base of the pot. Those are going to lift up while we start the cooking process with all of our other ingredients and just really kind of deepen the dish. Okay. Perfect. I'm giving each side about 30 to 45 seconds. As you can tell when I was cutting it, they're all slightly different in thickness because of how the top of the rib looks. So I'm just being careful of watching it, but also keeping that 30 to 45 seconds in mind. Okay, last little batch of meat is done. Excellent. So I'm gonna let the meat hang out right here. So I'm gonna do some mirepoix, which is just nice, roughly chopped celery, onion, and carrots right in. Now, while they're slowly sauteing, I'm gonna add in just a little tiny bit of beef broth. The more is gonna come in later, but just enough to kind of get the juices flowing. Perfect. Okay. All right. And as you can see, those delicious little bits, the fond, it's lifting right on up. Next thing, my chili seasoning. So I'm gonna do a combination of flavors here. I did definitely salt the meat, but I'm gonna do just a little tiny bit of kosher salt into the veg. Very little bit, I don't wanna over salt anything. Some nice black pepper. Okay, and now the fun stuff. So I'm gonna use some white ground pepper. Sprinkle it right in, okay? Whole garlic cloves, these guys are gonna cook right down. Cumin. I love cumin, put it all in. Paprika, I love smoked paprika. Chili powder, put it all in. And now give it a good stir. Oh my gosh. This is a rendition of my father's chili recipe. So it smells like nostalgia right now. Excellent, that's all incorporated. Now, I'm going to add in my kidney beans, stir them right in. Give it a stir. Okay, so now is for my little twist on the chili. I love pureed pumpkin. It's something that I think is underused, but you're gonna be getting a ton of vitamins with pumpkin. So adding it to a dish like chili, you're taking chili and you're saying, okay, it's heartwarming and comforting and delicious, and now I'm going to make it healthy, which is great, right? So, right in. Okay. Excellent. Get rid of that. Give it a little stir. My gosh. Great. And now cover with beef broth. It's gonna bring this liquid level up. Beautiful. Okay. Can't forget the tomatoes. Quick little stir. It doesn't have to be mixed all the way together. It's gonna be pressure cooking, so it's gonna be doing its own thing in here and mixing itself. All right. Turn that off because I'm done with my sauteing. Lock and load. Good. Putting it into my sealing position. And now I'm going to choose my pressure cook and manually adjust the time for 1 hour and 20 minutes. There we go. It's gonna take about 15 minutes for the pressure to build up inside. I'm locked, I'm safe, I can walk away for a little bit. We'll see you back here. All right, it has been about an hour and 20 minutes. I'm going to turn my Instapot off, cancel, off, great. I am going to unlock. This, my friends, is delicious. Now, doesn't look like much, you gotta give it a moment. As I stir, I'm going to press gently into the top of the rib. It's going to start to shred. Now you can totally take your time with this, really get it nice and shreddy, or you can do what I do and get a nice big hunk of meat with the chili all around it. Okay, I think that's it, okay? All right, let me get my bowl. Oh, that is comfort food through and through. Okay, you can see as I press my spoon and see how it just kind of falls apart. Let's see how it tastes. The meat, that top of the rib, has the perfect amount of fat for this. That is just falling apart. It's like literally melting in my mouth. Oh my gosh, it's so good. And those nice smoky heat flavors from the chili and the paprika. Oh my gosh, this is fabulous. Plenty of that pumpkin-y sauce. Again, a perfect example of how Prairie Street Prime offers us these really cool, interesting, unusual cuts like the top of the rib. How we can take a dish like chili, right? Everybody has chili, everybody loves chili, but it's so elevated.
Coming up next on the Prairie Street Prime Culinary Kitchen channel, Chef Kendra will show us how to make her delicious kosher top of the rib cheesesteak sandwich.
Oh, just slices like butter. It's totally perfect. I hope that you try this recipe. I hope that you share your flavor profiles with us. Give it a taste. Let us know in the comments below. Remember that you can find the recipe, ingredients, description, everything in the description below. And check out more of our cool cuts on prairiestreetprime.com. And be sure to check back in every Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. See you then.